Howdy y'all, Michael here. Today is Saturday, August 22nd, 2026, and it is a warm day. Right now, it's starting to cool off. Earlier it was about 105. It's 101 right now at 5:37 p.m. And watched the live with Prep and Paul when he was interviewing people on the floor at the Huntsville Ham Fest. And I wish I went. I really wish I went. It's just financially and schedule-wise, I couldn't swing it. But I really wish I was there. But I want to talk to you a little bit about how I got into ham radio. Come hang out with me. At first, I'm waiting in the long line here to get some gas at Sam's. It's $3.10 a gallon here. I wish it was a little cheaper, but it is what it is. Okay, brief interruption to the video. You start to see a little bit of wave in that video, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. And then all of a sudden it just clears up. So when I get to the gas pumps, it clears up from then on. And I'm sorry. If you get seasick or something, just look away. Continue listening to the video, but look away. But the issue seems to be with the editing software. The original video is steady. It is very steady. It's not all wavy like this, you know. Or I can't even replicate it with my phone here. But it's just frustrating. It's about 10 minutes after midnight right now, trying to fix this. I did have this happen with one scene last week's video, and I just threw away the scene. I didn't even look at the original video, and I would have saw that nothing was wrong with it. So there's something in that video, I don't know if it's some kind of time codec or what, that is causing this waviness. And I'm sorry to expound on it, but it's really annoying. So maybe this is going to be the end of me using iMovie. I don't know. I've gotten so used to it, I haven't worked with any other editing software, so maybe now's the time. So, back to future Michael. Or, no, I'm future Michael. I'm the editor Michael. Back to the past Michael. I always have had a desire to learn ham radio, to get my ham license beyond the radio. I really enjoyed it. And in high school, I had a friend who was a ham radio operator, and I went to his house, saw his dad set up, and went to his dad's club, which happened to be the Dallas React Club, and got to do one meeting, and I was fascinated by it. He also showed me GMRS, which his mom talked to him on the radio. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. GMRS was a bit cost prohibitive. And so is ham radio. Ham radio, you had to know code, and I struggled trying to get code down. But let's fast forward to 1996. 1996, I was at the mall, and I was in the Radio Shack. And Radio Shack actually started as a ham radio store. The kind of diverted into other things. Eventually went to cell phones. But they were one time a ham radio store. I believe there's still a couple out there using the Radio Shack name, and one of them does ham radio, and I'm not even sure they're still open, but it'd be cool if they are. But I got a book from there, and it was called Now You're Talking, and I've heard later on, or just recently, that was written by Gordon West, and which is the book I used to study for the general and the extra later on. Now You're Talking was at Radio Shack in 1996, and I read through that book, and I tried to learn as much as I could. And And the one thing that really scared me was the Morse code side of it. So let's jump ahead to 2011. Still waiting on my turn here. Looks like the guy in the front was having a little trouble getting it to start. The guy in the back just started his as well, so I hate circling around trying to back in and all that. I'd rather just go straight forward. Well, they both ended at the same time, so I'm going to drive straight into the next bump. $28 later, I have a full tank. So 2011, I was at my son's concert, his orchestra concert at the middle school. And we were all in there. They perform in the gym because they don't have a auditorium of sorts. It's just the way LISD designed the schools at the time. So we were in the gym. The orchestra is all on the gym floor. We're watching on from the bleachers there. And normally at the end of the concert, the teacher says, parents, if you can help us, we need to take all the chairs and the stands back to the classroom. And we all pitch in and carry everything over. However, this time he said, parents, we normally would ask you this, but there is severe weather coming in. And it's coming in fast and heavy. So we were all about to leave, and when we got to the front door, the outdoor warning sirens were going off. So I looked and I Googled and I searched my phone, and I found where the Skywarn storm chasers were. And I wasn't familiar with Skywarn at that time. So I looked into it and I said, start streaming it. And you can hear them. And I heard, this is KC5GOI, Denton County Skywarn net in progress. I was like, okay, I got it. And they had a station in the colony report. And they came in, break, funnel cloud lowering, and then 2 or 3 other stations came in, break, saying the same report. So I was freaking out. I was like, oh, we got a tornado dropping in the colony. And then we were all just going all back in the building. They had us go on the lower floor, just waiting in the classrooms. We had TVs on, trying to figure out what's going on. Well, Atlanta, Georgia also had storms going, so we were, the news broke away from us and started talking about Atlanta, Georgia. And we're like, are we free to go? Are we not? Everybody's opening their phone. They can't get radar on their phone because the cellular system's overloaded. And that stream that I got on my cell phone was no longer there because the cellular system was overloaded. And I said, that's it. I gotta figure something out. This is ridiculous. So the next day I was at home and I looked and I said, what's required for the SAM license? I need to hunker down and just bite the bullet and learn how to pass this test. Well, found out February 2007, mind you, this is 2011, they dropped the code requirement. I'm like, it's on. The first thing I needed to do was to find a ham club. So I looked up and I found the Lake Area Amateur Radio Club online. And I went to the meeting. It was on the second Tuesday of May 2011. And I went to that meeting. I said, hey, I want to learn how to get my license. How do I do that? What's the process? Are there any resources y'all have? And I said, oh, go on QRZ.com, start taking the test there. And I told them about the book. I got 96 and studied it. And they said, go on QRZ. So I went on QRZ. I started taking the practice test. And after a while, I was making 85, 90, 100% on the questions. And I was pretty emphatic about it. So go home, find a location to take the test at. Because LARC didn't offer testing, but a lot of places do. You don't have to go to the FCC office anymore, but the clubs, a lot of clubs will have what's called VE sessions, which is volunteer examiners, and you can go take the test there. So on May 21st, on a Saturday, I was one of the first ones there, and I was waiting, and I went in at the Irving Ham Club's location, which was the Betcha Bingo Hall. Okay, let's say that. Betcha Bingo Hall in Irving, Texas. And so I was like, wow, they made it in a bingo hall. That's pretty cool. So I went to the Betcha Bingo Hall, and I took my test, and I aced it. 100%, just by taking the practice test and the reading that I've did since 1996 on that dang book from Radio Shack. And I passed it. And they're like, oh, go for the general. I'm like, I don't know anything about the general. And they told me, oh, it's free. If you pass, you pass. If you don't, you don't. At least it's free, and you can see what you know. So I took it, and I bombed it. I mean, royally bombed it. I got one question right out of the whole batch. I have no clue what I'm doing. You know, I'm brand new to ham radio. And so I got my, I passed the tech test, and I was so excited. I could not wait for my call sign to generate, my systematic call. So it was the following Wednesday, May 25th, 2011, I got my first call sign. And it's the same call sign I have now, KF5LEJ. I was so excited. It was on, and they mailed me the official license. But I was a licensed hammer operator because it was on the FCC ULS system. ULS system, Universal Licensing System. You can look it up online, and that was so cool. That was amazing. That was a huge step for me. However, it was not until June that I made my first contact. I ordered a radio. I found a place online, and I called in the order, and I put it on a credit card. I ordered a Yaesu FT 7900D or 7900R. That's what it was. There's an R and the RE, and I'll move over here where I got a little bit better light. So I got that radio, and it was shipped to me. I had to ask him questions. I said, well, I'm seeing UHF. What is a UHF connector? But I found an antenna that has a PL259. What's the difference there? And why is it saying SO239? And so, you know, there's a lot of questions as a new ham. And they answered it, all of them, for me over the phone. I think it's shipped out of Atlanta. Do they have a store in Atlanta? I don't know. They weren't in the Dallas-Fort Worth area yet. So I got my first radio, and when I came in the house, I put a mag mount on top of my car. I popped the hood up, stuck the wires in the batteries, fired it up. And so I researched and looked and figured out how I can get a repeater. And the closest one to me was 147.38 repeater. And that's the Lark repeater. And at that time, it was down on North Colony. And I started calling CQ. This is Kilo, Foxtrot, 5, Lima, Delta, Julia, calling CQ. And a guy answered me. His name was Larry Gresham. You know, I called it a couple times. He said, I knew you were a new ham because you were calling CQ on a repeater. I was like, I appreciate that. This is all new to me. And we had a conversation. It lasted about 5 minutes or so, but I mean, I was nervous. I didn't know what to say or how to say it. But I just got right on without even listening to ham radio repeaters. And, you know, just sitting on a chair with a metal camping table in front of me, in front of my car in my driveway. And that was my first contact. 2 hours later. All right, I'm a bit disappointed in Sam's. Who in Texas, what grocery store in Texas or wholesale club doesn't sell tortillas in Texas? That's a bit ridiculous. It has some refrigerated stuff after you open it, but seriously, Sam's? Come on. With Sam's, I didn't get everything I wanted. I was so disappointed in the selection. I was just a little bit irritated. Still spent a lot of money, but did get a couple good deals there. I think I'll probably be going Costco more often than I will Sam's. Sam's on occasion, but Costco seems to be my go-to place. Anyways, I made my first contact, and that following month after that, or that Tuesday, I went to the LARC meeting again. And I said, hey, I got my call sign, KF5LJ. I'm so excited. Sign me up for Aries. How do I get involved with Aries? Well, you have to go to Dakara. That's what they told me. So I went to the Dakara meeting, and it was on the fourth Monday of the month at the old location for our EOC. It was the EOC at the time, and I signed up for Dakara, became a member there. I believe I became a member of LARC, and no, let me back up. That was June, so I didn't become a member of LARC yet because the renewals were in July back then. So I became a member of Dakara first before I became a member of LARC. How about that? How'd that work out? So, and then I talked to Mike Carlisle, who was the president of LARC at the time, and said, how do I get signed up for Aries? I was told this is the club for it. So he introduced me to Gerald Marchand, or pointed me over to him at least. So I introduced myself to Gerald Marchand, who is Gerald the Godfather. And so I got to meet Gerald the Godfather then, and we've had a long time friendship since then. But he got me signed up for Aries. I had to go through all the process, get my picture taken, all that. Awful picture. Sorry, Gerald. It was an awful picture. Back then I had a buzz cut, and I looked pretty orange looking. It was kind of weird. So I got involved in Aries, started participating in Skywarn and things such as that. Started learning all that slowly but surely over the next year. And then I believe in 2012, I started volunteering at a place called SciTech Discovery Center, where I went there. And that motivated me to get my my general class. This is 2012, 2013. I'm not 100% sure on the timeline. I studied, did the same thing. I was passing the test, but Dakar was offering through Alan Bagger's program a general class. So I took the class. And I asked a bunch of questions. And of course, I took the test at the end of the class. I didn't want to mess with getting the extra. But then I went back to SciTech and I said, hey, I got my general now. I can operate the radio without another person there while we're doing this outreach at SciTech Discovery Center with ham radio. And they had a permanent station there for a while. And so the first thing that happened was a guy looked straight at me from another club, and he says, you don't know what you're doing. You don't have a clue. He said, we're extras here. I was like, oh, okay. Not my first run-in with the sad ham, but there you go. So that motivated me. January, I think it was 2013, January, I went to the Cowtown Ham Fest back when it was at Lockheed Martin. And when I went there, I bought the book, the same author as my other books, Gordon West, and I got the extra book. 2 weeks later, I took the test, aced the extra test. I was so freaked out over the math questions, and so I learned about determining resonant frequency and things like that. I know Chevy-Chef filter has a ripple and a passband and a sharp cutoff, and I tried to learn all that stuff, trying to memorize as much as I could, but I learned a lot doing that. Within 2 weeks, then I took the extra test and aced it. So that's when I became my extra. And just continued to be involved with SciTech Discovery Center, was involved with LARC, was involved with Dakara, was also involved with, I believe, the Metro Quest Club for a while. And I found out I was spreading myself a little thin, so I kind of trimmed back a little bit. And so I tend to do that. I tend to build up multiple things, but ended up trimming back. And I went to, being involved with Aries so much, I was always asking, always suggesting, getting more and more involved with it. Just a kind of a passion of mine back in that thunderstorm that I experienced. I realized the need for emergency communications capability, and that kind of became my passion. So let's roll to 2017, and I got approached by Gerald and saying, Michael, would you like to be the Aries emergency coordinator? I'm like, what's going on? And he said, well, guy's been doing it for about 14, 15 years. It's been a while. I'm like, I'm not qualified. I am not qualified for that. It took a year of arm twisting, and I finally agreed to it. And Guy was just this brainiac guy who knew anything and everything about radio, and a lot about MCOMs and all kinds of stuff. And I just was not ready for that. But I had been involved so much, and so finally he twisted my arm enough. May of 2018. It was right at my 7th anniversary of being a ham. I became the Denton County emergency coordinator. So we call him EC. I was the Aries EC for Denton County. And that was a pretty big step. And that came with not a lot of fanfare. People were very upset this guy was stepping down because that guy was really good. In fact, I had a lot of problems in the first couple of years just trying to get people back on board with a robust program as it was. And then I got involved with CERT, and I was able to, after a number of years, got CERT and Aries working together. And we had an instance where we had a search and rescue in Little Elm, and I decided to use my ham radio stuff. And my friend Paul, Prep and Paul, was at the Emergency Operations Center in Little Elm, and I was in the only amateur radio vehicle going around, and we had better communications than the rest of the team did. In fact, they saw on a map, on a large screen TV, everywhere we were live using APRS. So they know the search patterns we were doing, and we actually heard that they decided to stand down because the guy was found. And but we did stand down and head back. But we knew that before any of the other teams knew that. And so at that point, we decided to have an exercise. We had an exercise in the same place, and they saw every team, everywhere they were at, and full communications, full time. There was no phone calls had to be made, no having to talk through the county radio systems for the leaders, as they're trying to keep up and drive around and get the other people. So Aries and CERT are now, as a result, years later, are kind of joined at the hip. Anytime CERT teams deploy, we deploy with them. If it's a formal deployment, if it's not just a, hey, we're volunteering to give out literature and stuff at the North Texas Radio or something like that. But if it's an active deployment, we're there together. So that's a little bit of my ham radio story, and kind of segue into putting a little ham radio onto this channel as well. I hope you enjoy this, just knowing a little bit of my background, why I got into ham radio, and I am still learning. And it's a constant process. And I got a great group of people. Taking over the Aries program, I had a lot of leaders with me, helping me. It's just one of those things, you got to take that step. And it may take some time to get fully seated. But that goes from ham radio to Aries to anything that you do. Because I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having fun doing it. But for now, y'all take care. Be safe. Bye.